Yeah, an insight in the placental story. Now, what we have here is that to define what is cell fusion, it is an important cellular process by which two or more unicellular cells combine to form a multi-layer cells, also known as syncytium. And uh, it is usually occurring during the process of differentiation and during the process of embryogenesis or during the process of morphogenesis. Now, there are various types of cell fusion. They can be either homotypic cell fusion, in which the cell fusion occurs between two same types of cells. If there is a nuclear fusion, it is called synkaryon. And in this type of fusion, there is no nuclear fusion if the in binucleated heterokaryons. If there is no nuclear fusion, then they are known as the heterokaryons. But if there is a nuclear fusion, then it is called as the synkaryon. Then there are other type of cell fusion in which there is a heterotypic cell fusion, in which the cell fusion occurs between the cells of the different types. And if the nuclei fuse, then the combination is still called the synkaryon. Now, a cell-to-cell fusion remains the least understood type of membrane fusion process. And in last few years, there have been some major advances in understanding fusion between gametes, myoblasts, macrophages, trophoblasts, epithelial, cancer, and other cells, and in the normal development and in diseases. In different cell fusion processes, there appears to they proceed via similar membrane rearrangements, and the proteins that have been identified as necessary and sufficient for cell fusion, these are known as the fusogens, and they use various diverse mechanisms. Now, what is the role of fusion? The dynamic organization of the cells depends on the protein controlled membrane remodeling processes that divide and fuse membrane. Fusion of intracellular membrane is a key stage in secretion, protein and lipid trafficking, and in maintenance of endoplasmic reticulum and mitochondrial networks. And then defects in this fusion processes have been linked to mitochondrial lysosomal storage and other degenerative disorders, as have been outlined in this course in a very great extent. Now, how does the fusion occur? The fusion processes differ widely in composition of fusing membranes, in biological context and regulatory mechanisms. Unilateral mechanism or a bilateral mechanism. If the proteins that mediate fusion have to be present only one fusing membrane, then it becomes a unilateral mechanism. But when it is on the both the membranes, for example, in bilateral heterotrophic types of fusion, in that it is known as the bilateral, either homotypic, in which the cells types are similar, or bilateral heterotypic mechanisms in which the cell types are different. In all the fusion processes, the function of the fusion protein machinery is to drive the transition from pre-fusion to post-fusion state. And by bringing the lipid bilayers into immediate contact, this is happening. Also, there is a catalyzation of the formation of the energy intensive fusion intermediates. And then there is an opening of a fusion pore. The fusion itself involves a local rupture of the continuity of each of the lipid bilayer, and then it rejoins. But before fusion, characteristic distance between the opposing plasma membranes are controlled by specific cell adhesions proteins. Bringing membrane bilayers closer to each other requires displacement of the membrane proteins towards the periphery of the fusion site and at very close distances, comparable with the thickness of the lipid monolayer. The strong bending of one or the both member bilayer brings them into an immediate contact within a few nanometers and facilitates a local disruption and rearrangement of the lipid monolayers. And then what happens is there is a subsequent merger of the distal monolayer, and this generates a nascent fusion pore and allows the content mixing of the both cells. While this fusion through the hemifusion pathway was first described for fusion of protein-free bilayers formed from lipids that facilitate monolayer curvature characteristics for either hemifusion intermediates or lipidic pore, during biological fusion, proteins may serve as critical structural components of early fusion intermediates. Some studies suggest that calcium triggered exocytosis involves the formation of the proteinaceous fusion pore, and the rim of which is entirely or partially lined by amino acid residues of transmembrane domains or snare proteins. It has also been suggested that under some conditions, like influenza virus, agglutinin initiates fusion by puncturing one of the contacting membranes to form a leaky rupture insertion structure, and this structure, by a yet unexplained mechanism, facilitates the hemifusion and opening a fusion pore. Now, what are the challenges in identifying? And this is the mechanism of cell-to-cell fusion, and in this it has been outlined. This is the summary of what I had been talking earlier. There is a pathway of cell-to-cell fusion. There is ready to fuse cells, first of all. They recognize each other. They closely oppose each other. Then they go hemifusion. And then the merger of outer monolayers of the two membranes. This allows the redistribution of the lipid markers between the cells. Note that both the distal monolayers of the membranes and cell contents are still distinct. Then there is a opening of the fusion pore in the hemifusion structure, and this allows the mixing of the cytoplasmic contents. And then there is a pore expansion, which results that completes the joining of the two cells into one. This is the same, the B portion is the same schematic representation of the lipid rearrangements during the events explained in the in earlier diagram. And in this we see that LPC, it actually blocks the hemifusion by inhibiting the bending of the contracture monolayers. And this one again is C, which has inset from this A prototype. And in this we see that the proteins fusogens are necessary to overcome the energetic barrier of the hemifusion and opening and expansion of the fusion pore. Here we see there may be either bilateral or there may be bilateral or homotypic fusions. These are bilateral, these are homotypic, and these are heterotypic. They are different. Okay. So now coming to what are the challenges in identifying and exploring cell-to-cell fusion. As I said that in placenta, there is not much work done, but still there are very many challenges which we need to identify. The fusion processes mediated by viral and intracellular proteins are often triggered by calcium exostosis, excitation of the endosomal compartments containing internalized virions, or virus interactions with the receptors and fusion cofactors in host cells. Such events are relatively fast, but they have to be caught in the right time in milliseconds to get and capture, whereas some actions are take hours to occur, and they can be easily studied. In contrast, complex and multi-step differentiation processes that prepare cells for fusion in their biological context may take days, and there are also some environmental factors that can actually trigger the actual fusion events, which can be in a matter of seconds or minutes, and they are yet to be established. And how do we distinguish proteins that are involved in the actual fusion stage from proteins that only function at the pre and post fusion stages? we need to identify proteins as fusion proteins or the fusogens, and this depends on their various characteristics. The diverse experimental approaches characterizing these fusogenic activities uh, are there, and there are structural characteristics. The gold standard that it is a fusogen, it has to complete this following criteria. It is necessary for the fusion. It presents on one of the fusing membrane at the right time and place, and it is sufficient to fuse membranes that normally do not fuse. And additionally, a tertiary structure similar to characterized fusogen is commonly used by many researchers for validation of new fusogens. So there are various categories of the fusogen. We know that proteins that meet all these requirements are considered bona fide fusogens. There is a scoring system which is based on the gold standards for fusogens, and this has been suggested. And this is beyond the scope of this lecture to detail each and every fusogen, but there is long list of it. And a decade ago, the best characterized fusogen, which were viral and intracellular, the only well characterized cell-to-cell fusogens that were identified in placenta of mammals and epithelia of nematodes were there. But the recent studies have suggested that there is a new candidate protein infusion of gametes, which is hapless 2, HAP2, and for muscle cells, a myomaker or a myomarger. So we know now that the cell fusion is a process that is crucial at many intersections later during the development. However, we do not know which molecules fuse the membrane of gametes to form zygotes, myoblasts to form myotubes in muscle, and macrophages to form osteoclasts in bone, or cytotrophoblasts to form syncytiotrophoblasts in placenta. There are 5 gold standards that can be applied for the identification of genuine fusogens, and this is where the numerical score that I mentioned had been assessed, and they can be used to assess the likelihood of the protein fusogenicity. The other functions of cell-to-cell fusogens are as follows. They are also used, there are also for the remodeling activity of the EFF1 and AFF1 proteins, which is not limited to mediating the cell-to-cell fusion events. There can be a autofusion here. Single cell fuses with itself to form a donut-shaped cell that can stack and elongate to form tubes, or alternatively join a severed process as a neuronal regeneration. Then there could be extravesicular fusion AFF1 proteins that can mediate the fusion between a vesicular carrier and the cell. The phagocytosis also, which is EFF1 mediated, and endocytosis, AFF1 mediated. In this, the fission event occurs to seal the fission pore of the forming intracellular vesicles. We have to note that while endoplasmic fusogens act from the cytoplasmic space, which is this area, and AFF1's cell fusogens induced from the extracellular space, which are the exoplasmic fusogens in white areas. Now, coming to the clinical applicability or in the cell fusion in various circumstances, we know that these fusion activities can occur either during the gamete fusion or during the somatic cell fusion or organ formation. This gamete fusion, in this gamete fusion, the sexual reproduction is widely distributed in the tree of life, and in sexually reproducing organisms, the permanent or transient cell-to-cell fusion is essential for genetic transfer. And in somatic cell fusion, the cell-cell fusion is different, and different tissues and organs focus on fusion processes during the development of muscle, placenta, bones, stem cells, and synergid endoplasm. So during the cell fusion during development that has been studied is in either in the yeast mating or C. elegans sperm egg fusion or mammalian sperm egg fusion. Here we see that in various organisms, the PRM1 is localized to the site of the cell here. And in PRM mutants, this cell degrades, but fusion does not occur. In B, in this, the fusion is occurring here. This in the sperm egg fusion in C. elegans, this requires the expression of EGG1 here and EGG2. And in the egg, and SPE9 and SPE38 and SPE42 in the sperm. It is still unknown whether the sperm protein interact with the oocyte EGG1 or 2, and then the ligands of SPE9, SPE38, and SPE42, they have not yet been identified to form the zygote. Again, coming to the mammalian sperm, the same thing here. The CD9 is expressed in the microvillar region of an egg, and isomo becomes the detectable only after the acrosomal reaction of the sperm surface. It is not clear whether this isomo and CD9 actually interact and whether this interaction is required for the fusion process. So there are a lot of loopholes in the characterize the molecular mechanisms of the cell fusion during the gamete formation, gamete nuclear fusion. Then coming to the somatic cell fusion in health, there are various scenarios where this somatic cell fusion occurs. It can occur either in myoblast, in which the skeletal muscles are composed of bundles of elongated multinucleated myofibers that form by fusion of multinucleated myoblasts. And this myoblast fusion is necessary for the myofiber maintenance, growth, and regeneration. The osteoclast precursion fusion has been dealt in detail, and each and every aspect has been covered by Madam already. There is also stem cell fusion and fusion in liver and eye, with the role of cell fusion in myogenesis or placentogenesis. Fertilization is well established. But there are additional biological processes that have been hypothesized but not yet studied. Also, the neuronal fusion has been documented in invertebrate quite a long time back for regeneration as well as the multiplication. Coming to the placental trophoblast fusion, the fusion of the villus trophoblast, cytotrophoblast throughout the pregnancy generates the syncytial trophoblast, which is a giant cells with more than 10 billion nuclei and then nearly in 10-meter square surface area that serves as a main feto-maternal barrier. This cell fusion depends on the endogenous retroviral proteins, namely SYN1 and SYN2 in primates, and SYN-A and SYN-B in rodents. The syncytin mediated trophoblast fusion is accompanied by formation of podosome-like plasma membrane protrusions, and the trophoblasts fuse only with each other and the syncytiotrophoblasts. During the human placentation, the mononuclear cytotrophoblast fuse to form multinucleated syncytia, ensuring the hormonal production and nutrient exchanges between the maternal and fetal circulation. This syncytial formation is essential for the maintenance of the pregnancy and the fetal growth. The CMP signaling pathway is the major route to trigger trophoblast fusion and its activation. And the activation of this results in the phosphorylation of specific intracellular target proteins, in transcription of fusogenic genes, and assembly of macromolecular protein complexes constituting the fusogenic machinery at the plasma membrane. It has been studied that specificity in the CMP signaling is ensured by generation of the localized pools of CMP controlled by CMP phosphodiesterases, PDEs, and by discrete spatial and temporal activation of protein kinase A in supramolecular signaling clusters inside the cells, organized by A kinase anchoring proteins, AKAPs, and by organization of the signal termination by protein phosphatase. But it just is to be elaborated. I have not elaborated it in great detail. The human embryo implantation requires actually the placentation process in which fetal cytotrophoblasts invade the maternal endometrium to form an interface with the maternal circulation, ensuring the effective exchange of gases, nutrients, and secretion of pregnancy-specific hormones. For example, HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, HPL, which is the human placental lactogen. Throughout the pregnancy, the cytotrophoblasts fuse to form a multinucleated syncytia on chorionic villi extending to the maternal placental blood circulation, and due to their capacity differentiate into syncytia, allowing essential placental exchange between the mother and child necessary for the fetal growth. And the cytotrophoblast plays an essential role during the human pregnancy. In vivo, the fusion process in the placenta is reproducible in vitro using purified human cytotrophoblasts, which aggregate and then fuse to form non-proliferative multinucleated endocrine active syncytiotrophoblasts. This is the model of cultured villus trophoblast purified from human placenta. In this, we see that there is a schematic view of human chorionic villi, and this VCT for villus cytotrophoblast is there, and this ST is the syncytiotrophoblast, and this EVT is the extravillus trophoblast. This is the chorionic villus prototype. Now, in this right side, we see that there is in vivo, in vitro model, this model of trophoblast fusion has been duplicated, and the cytotrophoblasts have been made to fuse into the syncytiotrophoblast, and these aggregate after 24 to 48 hours of culture and fuse into a syncytiotrophoblast. They, after about 72 hours, they can even secrete human chorionic gonadotrophins and HPL. So this is again human trophoblast, which has been stained at 24 to 72 hours of culture for desmoplasmin, which is the magenta, and the nuclei, which are a cyan. So these are this is how we can in the lab also, this function of the cytotrophoblast can be duplicated with proper controlled mechanism. Then again, coming to this signaling pathway in trophoblast, we know that the ligand, this HCG here, it binds to the LHCGR receptor, and this is a protein coupled receptor which activates the adenine cyclase in its proximity and generates the pools of cyclic AMP. And this has been shown to create a local concentration and distribution of the CMP gradient limited by phosphodiesterases here. And this is again, these subcellular structures may harbor specific isoenzymes of protein kinase A that through anchoring to A kinase anchoring proteins are localized in the vicinity of the receptor and the cyclase PDs are also anchored here. This one. And here they regenerate, and via the mechanism of the cyclic AMP, the ATP is generated, and this results in the various mechanism. And these mechanism actually serve to localize and limit the assembly and triggering of the specific pathways to a defined area of the cell close to the substrate. So cyclic AMP has effects on range of effector molecules encompassing the pKa, PDES, and exchange proteins, which are activated by CMP, and cyclic nucleotide gated ion channels, CNGs. Here. These gated, they have got all interacted adenylates. It works via the CMP. And via the cytoplasmic PDA, it is converted into 5-AMP, and these mechanisms are actually required for signaling pathways. Now, it has been reported that the precise spatial and temporal activation of pKa inside the cell is accomplished by sequestering pKa in the specific location through the interaction with AKPs and by generation of localized pools of CMP. It has also been studied that during the trophoblast fusion, the cell cycle inhibitor P21 interacts with the GCM1, the transcription factor, and is this complex bound to promoter of synthesation 2 actually is it promotes the transcription, and these findings, these are the ones that lead to the cell fusion, and they can actually the cell fusion, they have a clinical implication of making a defense against the pathogens. They form a defense against the pathogens, and also they help in the hormone secretions. So to summarize, the trophoblast fusion and syncytial trophoblast formation is a complex biological process which is essential for the maintenance of pregnancy and for fetal growth. It has been now recognized that CMP-PK signaling pathway is the major signaling pathway involved in the process, which modulates the expression of proteins that trigger the human trophoblast fusion. However, CMP-induced trophoblast fusion remains a field where a number of molecular details remain to be elucidated. Now, there are few problems with the cell fusion, and in case if the cell fusion is not adequate, then there can be disrupted and unbalanced cell fusion in the developmental process, and this has been linked to various disease processes. If there have been various, if there is a defect in the sperm egg fusion, they can lead to male infertility. If there is mediated syncytial mediated trophoblast fusion is defective, this is actually critical for the normal pregnancy, and this defects has been linked to various pathological conditions, especially preeclampsia. Also, there have been various that has been already discussed in various classes, the other disease processes that can occur because of the diseased conditions, diseases in the because of the imperfect cell fusion. Now, the cell fusion has been also implicated in the cancer cells in the early 19th century. It has been suggested that the leukocyte-like characteristic of the metastatic cancer cells that facilitate their migration through the blood are acquired by the fusion with the white cells. Since then, many studies have substantiated the hypothesis that fusion amongst cancer cells and between the cancer cells and non-malignant cells can contribute to initiation and progression of cancer, and specifically aneuploidy, drug resistance, and metastatic potential characteristic of malignant cells. The cancer cells also fuse with each other in presence of the disease conditions. In viral disease also, there has been implication of the cell fusion. Um, when there is virus cell membrane fusion, this is a key stage in enveloped virus entry, and some viruses are thought to use cell-cell fusion to spread infection between the contacting cells. These cells infected with non-enveloped viruses such as baboon reovirus express fusion-associated small transmembrane proteins, and these fast proteins facilitate the viral spread between the cells by inducing cell fusion between infected and non-infected cells. Also, T lymphocytes infected with HIV also express viral fusogen and have been reported to form syncytia in the lymph nodes of HIV patients. So now what has been, there have been many advances that have occurred. It has been shown that EPAC and calcium MKI signaling cascade works in the synergy with PKA signaling to trigger vivo cell fusion. And this cascade actually activates the GCM transcription factor, which enhances the transcription of the fusogenic genes. Also, there are studies which are needed to fully elucidate the molecular mechanisms underlying the trophoblastic cell fusion and ST regeneration. Thus, so that the pathophysiology of the human placental development can be established. Any alteration in the syncytial formation and regeneration during pregnancy will affect the fetal growth and the outcome of the pregnancy. The anomalies of the villus trophoblast differentiation and cell fusion can lead to severe placental abnormalities that could lead to intrauterine growth restriction and preeclampsia. And so a better understanding in the CMP signaling pathway and its regulation in space and time that induce cell fusion could lead to the development of therapeutic tools also in the coming time that may counteract the pathologies of pregnancy with a defect in syncytial formation. Thank you.